why I'm rambling right now. Whoa, back up, edit. Here's one where I could have sworn this plant was dead. It was just a collection of like a stump and some roots. But look at that, there's green. Do I know what this is? No. Do I care? Not really. Do I love the fact that it's growing? Yes. I had to move my hardening off spot to the backyard. These seedlings are hardening off in the shade or in the heat of the day at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We're about 2 weeks into this process. Happy transplanting day. All right, so this big container here, I am going to put in a couple of what are deemed cool flowers. So these are my Snapdragons and Bachelor Button. Snapdragon for sure is one of those plants that can withstand a light frost. So right now we're not perpetually at 70 degrees every day. We're typically in the 50s and 60s, so normal, what would be normal spring temperatures for our area in northern Kentucky, again, zone 6B. We had a real hot spell for a few weeks, or a couple weeks, and that is over. So now we're down into the 30s and 40s in the overnight temperatures. Supposedly Snapdragons can withstand that, and this is actually the prime time to be putting these transplants either in the ground or, in my case, a pot. The Snapdragons, of course, do get pretty tall, sometimes requiring staking. So I'm just going to go ahead and put them in a container to be safe because I don't have a great spot right now in my garden beds for these, and this container will stay in my backyard, so I'll be able to keep a close eye on it, keep a lookout for squirrels, because I've got a little squirrel, Sam the squirrel, who likes to go after some of my baby plantings, so I'll definitely have to be aware of that. The Bachelor Button, I feel like it's one of those that I could get away with potentially transplanting right now. I'm not going to transplant all of them, just some of these seedlings that look like they're kind of growing out of space in the smaller containers. So I'm just going to go ahead and plop these in. Now I'm going to put all the Snapdragons in the middle of my pot because I want to put something that's going to vine out over some creeping Jenny when it gets a little bit warmer, when we get a little bit closer to our last frost date, which is mid-April. So I'm just going to go in here into my existing potting soil. It's wet because, of course, we had rain over the weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and go in there, go down about I'd say that's about 3 or 4 inches. Actually, that's probably going to be too much. So let me backfill that with a little bit of soil. And I'm just going to take care to try to be as careful as possible with these Snapdragons because, you know, I don't want to disturb the roots too much. So I'm just kind of, on the other side of this container is the Hydrangeas sea holly. That it's not safe to plant that out yet. So I'm just going to go for this 1/2 of my container that has my Snapdragon seedlings, and I have been pinching these. So I've been pinching the top leaves. Once you have 2 true sets of leaves, you want to go up to about the 3rd or 4th and pinch that top leaf off because that will encourage 2 branching habits instead of just one tall one up through the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these out. That's always easier said than done, I feel. This is one of the parts that makes me kind of nervous, actually, because you do not want, by any circumstance, to be grabbing these by the, you don't want to grab them by the stems. That would be probably a mistake. So I'm just going to kind of put my finger in here, go along the sides of the potting soil that's in here. Man, this is really kind of hard to get out. I watered these, I think, 2 days ago, so they're okay. The soil is still moist, but it's not. You know what? I've got this little wooden stake in here that I used for, that I used for labeling, which the label didn't really stay on the wood. The marker kind of bled. But anyway, you can use that to kind of dig in here. Look at that. Pull that up, and I'll show you what it looks like. Pulling that out. Let's take a look. Oh, these look pretty good. They're a little root bound here on the bottom, but not terrible. And I think that's good spacing. I mean, finger width apart, because I don't really want to disturb this too much by thinning the seedlings at this point. I think that they will be safe just plopped in here. Yeah, I made that hole way too big, so I'm going to backfill that, and there we go. Check it out. Looking pretty good. It's exciting to get stuff actually planted out. And again, I'm doing this because Snapdragons are cool flowers, cool season perennials, like, or yeah, I mean, some people actually put the seeds out in like, or maybe the transplants or the seeds they put out in the winter time. So that's really early. There's a lady who wrote a book called Cool Flowers, and I've been listening to her podcast, and I've been taking her virtual online course, and she definitely says, you know, by all means, right now is probably actually too late to be getting these out, but they can withstand, like I said, a light frost. So I think we'll be pretty safe putting these out now. And the bachelor button, that's kind of it's kind of an experiment, but that is included in the group of cool flowers that you can put out now. So what are we, March 18th, the day after St. Patrick's Day. So we're still a ways away from Mother's Day, which is like when most people think is safe to do all this kind of thing. There's another couple of seedlings. These are a little bit closer. Oh, there's 3 here. I almost wonder if I should try to thin these out. Let me see. I mean, there's a bunch of roots here on one side. Not as, I think I need to keep them together. I don't know. I mean, they're not as root bound as the bachelor button were, but let's see if we can kind of gently. I mean, if some of these die, I guess I'll know why, right? I'm taking a chance here, but you know, I mean, we can probably afford to lose a couple. It wouldn't be great, but it is what it is. This is all still kind of a learning curve for me personally. I feel like I need more potting soil in here, actually. I feel like these are not. This should be fine. They'll get really tall. First, I was thinking maybe this is too. Like, maybe, you know what? I probably need to put more soil in here, to be honest with you. Oh, this is wet. This is nice wet soil. Remember, these are the 2 that I bought as a pair, and I didn't have enough potting soil. So I am going to put a little bit more in, because I feel like you need to fill it to the rim here, and I'm still a ways off from that. I just don't want to disturb these seedlings too terribly much. And I don't want them to be drowned by all this potting mix. Maybe I'll just put most of the. I should be doing this with gloves, but honestly, I've gotten so used to having dirt under my fingernails. It doesn't really bother me too much. I think we'll be in good shape. Just want to make sure that you've got enough potting soil to, you know, I don't know. I'm going to edit that out. All right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seedlings in here so far. I really need to, I feel like, plant them all up, but maybe I'll leave a couple in case these don't fare super well with the weather. So what I've got left, I've got 2 seedlings in this, 3 seedlings here. These 2 look really healthy, so I'm going to go ahead and dig those out and put these in here. And I'm going to leave the 3. And I may actually try to split those and give them their own little cells so they'll have more room. But this one just looks beautiful. You can see. So I'm not going to disturb the roots there too much, just a little bit. And then plant this one along with his buddies. So in total, let's see, grand total, how much do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 Snapdragon seedling transplants in their happy new little home. And I hope they're happy here. The soil definitely does not need to be moistened anymore. It is plenty moist. Just got to keep the critters away from these seedlings. They are still very young and vulnerable, and I don't want anything getting at them. So as far as the bachelor button, I'm going to go ahead and make a space nearer to the outside, which is why we put more soil in here. And I'm just going to loosen those up like I did the others, like I did the Snapdragons with my little tool. I feel like these bachelor button, though, they're pretty hardy. They're pretty tough. So I think they can withstand a little bit of manhandling. Or woman handling, in my case. If you want to be technical. All right. So pulling that bad boy out. Lots of roots here. This bachelor button's kind of flopping. So hopefully they're still in good shape. I mean, this is like what, 3 seedlings in one. So we'll see how they do. I mean, we're definitely giving them more space now in this container, in this big container than they had in that little one. So you'd think that they'd be a lot happier, you know? And I'll put some more bachelor button in here as well. Oh, this is like 4 seedlings in one. Wow. I'm going to try to split those up, I think. Because 4. Oh, and they look about dead, don't they? That's real floppy and weak. All right, well, let's give these guys a new home. I'm not going to disturb their roots. I'm going to go ahead and put them in their new home and see if they revive. Those might be goners, though. They might just be goners. We'll see. Maybe they'll perk up. So I've got my bachelor button and my Snapdragons in there. Got one more bachelor button to plant. Man, I love spring. You can just hear the birds chirping right now. I think it's probably in the 50s. It just feels excellent. Feels really, really good. All right. Here's my last bachelor button. Oops, making a mess. And plop that guy down as well. You do want to keep in mind spacing here. I've got mine about 1 inch apart. Some of these are kind of flopping over, though. You know what? I'm going to move this one over because it's kind of flopping over on my snap. And I don't really want that because that's the best looking snap I've got. And we'll see. It's such a fun little experiment. Make sure all of our Snapdragons are nice and tidy in their planting spot. They look pretty good. And I'm going to keep this container out in this sunny spot. We are a east-facing backyard. So you can see I've got all my snaps in the middle because those get really tall. And then on the side, I've got my bachelor button in the back. And then as it gets warmer, I'd like to put my creeping Jenny transplants that I have that I overwintered in the garage because those are picking up in growth right now. They're waking up. So I'm going to put those in the front and have those drape over the front of my potter here. But yeah, so this is like my experimentation container. Have it out here, if we're getting really cold, I may take this into the garage, but luckily it's light enough. I can easily pick that up and do that. This is my back patio, which is east facing. We get afternoon shade, so a perfect spot for morning sun, afternoon shade for all my hydrangeas, creeping jenny, catmint, lemongrass to start waking up here. I've seen some amazing growth, especially on the hydrangea since the winter. They were overwintered in my garage, and then right next to that, I've got my seed starts that I started in January. I've got my Hydrangeum, also known as sea holly, which is super drought tolerant. Not time here mid-March to plant those out quite yet. They still need to stay indoors till we get closer to that frost-free date, mid-April, so a few more weeks still. And then I've got a bunch of bachelor button. This is bachelor button that I was pretty rough with, to be honest with you, when I was thinning out those seedlings. Remember when they were a little probably too mature to be doing that, but these are doing really well after planting these in a larger pot. So I'm feeling pretty confident about those. But some of these others, this is the bachelor button I started in the seed starter mix. Look how much further behind that is from the potting mix ones on the left. I mean, it has taken it so long to grow. So I'm going to keep those where they are, but these, I feel like I may need to plant those up. Here's a little bit larger container for the Hydrangeum seedlings. I'm going to go ahead and make my holes in here. I'm thinking I'll need 4 holes because it definitely looks like I've got more than just one plant in each of these. I'm not sure about the root disturbance with these. Sometimes it's good to check to see if your plant is particularly susceptible to root disturbance. I think this is one, so I'm just going to go ahead and put it in here. I don't think that that's more than one. I could be wrong. I mean, yeah, no, as I'm pulling, it is more than one. It's 2. So, I mean, we don't have a crazy amount of roots. So maybe I could easily pull these apart. I don't think I'm going to press my luck with that. I'm just going to go ahead. I already ripped some of the roots, but I'm just going to go ahead and kind of keep it as its own, standalone. Because I just don't want to take chances. You know, when you've been working on these since January, you want to definitely increase your odds of success. So that means, oh wow, this soil is super loose. The roots on this thing are interesting. Yeah, there's not too many roots yet. So this may be the optimal time to be getting these up potted. And as I have told you guys, I've never worked with some of these seeds before. The Hydrangeum. But it's, you know, I found out about this sea holly because I had a flower bouquet, I think it was last Mother's Day maybe. And it was so pretty, so I used the Plant ID app on my phone, and it told me it was this, and I was like, I've got to grow some of that. It's so pretty, and it is a perennial, drought-tolerant variety. So that'll be great for where I'm going to put it. My front yard is west facing. Side yard, one of the side yards is of course south facing, full sun, and they just, certain plants just thrive in that kind of zone. All right, so I've got these Hydrangeum up potted and my Snapdragons. Here we are near that garden bed that I'm trying to extend by taking up grass. It's a much easier process to remove sod when the ground was wet, and where, of course, it was raining for us for a couple of days. So it is a muddy job, but a lot easier to get into the hard ground when it's soft like this. One of the trials of doing any kind of garden bed work in the spring. Mud. Call before you dig. I did have to call, it's 800, is that it? 811. 811 is the hotline. They'll come out, the gas company will do a free assessment of your utilities and mark those as we start to warm things up. We're overly excited in some cases, I know in mine, to get out in the garden and start on these projects. And just to show you exactly what we're talking about. So right here above where there's some bud formation, and just lop that off. Very good feeling to get these hydrangea heads off there. Make way for the new. You also want to try to remove any branches that are crossing each other, because the rubbing action and the friction can actually make the plant more susceptible to disease, creating entry points for, harmful bacteria or fungus or, anything that could, damage the long-term health of your plant. Check out these roots growing very shallow here. This is a quick fire hydrangea. Look at that. Right by the base of the plant. Still waking up here. Definitely starting to see some leaf buds on my quick fire hydrangeas that I planted in the heat of the summer because they were discounted. Yeah, that's why I bought them. I mean, I guess, with a little TLC, you can get these discount plants at the height of the season as long as you're willing to water them and take good care of them. And speaking of discount plants, the reason I'm smiling right now is because I scored the last clearance item. The plant that I got at Lowe's back in the clearance rack, last one remaining, was some phlox. And I have been eyeing starting some phlox and getting those into my garden beds for a while. It is like a ground cover, and it has really pretty, in this case, purple flowers. So this one was originally $10. So anything less than $9 was $2 or $4. So this was $4 here. Trailing perennial, it says. So it does come back. Creeping phlox. This needs full sun, so I am going to put this in that extension of my front garden bed that I showed you that I was digging out the grass there. So I'm trying to get that bed taken care of. My husband wants me to do it sooner rather than later because it looks like just a big mud pit right now. So I'm thinking I'll put some phlox in there for sure. I do have another evergreen, a juniper I'm going to plant there. But yeah, so if you can get out to your local garden center, be it Home Depot, Lowe's, one of the big box stores, potentially even your local nursery will have potentially some good deals. And I don't want to go too crazy spending money at the nursery this time of year because you can really do some damage on your wallet. I also picked up this ajuga for $4.98. So I got out of Lowe's under $10 and brought 2 beautiful ground cover plants home. So as long as you have the confidence that you can, keep an eye on them for a couple of weeks. And I mean, you don't really have to water if you plant right now because we're getting so much rain here in my area in northern Kentucky. So yeah, I think it's a good time right now. It's hit or miss whether or not, your particular store will have a lot to choose from. I was looking for some azaleas to also put out that in that extended garden bed. I'd like just, one azalea bush in like a purple or a pink. They only had white at Lowe's. And then Menards, which I love Menards, especially for seeds. They've had the best deal this season, but they just didn't really have any selection in. So a little bit slow going there for Menards. But anyway, I still have my peonies. I need to get these planted out. I don't know if I'm too late or what. I mean, I'm probably too late to enjoy any blooms because these are spring bloomers. But I don't know if the plants will hold for next year or not. And then I have the dahlias. I need to get those planted out for sure. So
As with most things, I have to Google it to see, what my timing is and if I should just wait until next year or just go ahead and get it in the ground now. As far as updating you on the seedlings and how those have been hardening off, like I said, it's been taking a longer process. I'd say we've been hardening off for a month now because I have been bringing my seedlings into the garage because we, had that fall spring where we had 70-degree days and 40, 50-degree nights in the overnight, but then we dropped down to the 30s again. So I was leaving everything out in the day and bringing it in at night. I have been fertilizing, and so far so good. There's one little group of bachelor button that are not looking super great. They're looking a little weary. So may try to rush and get those into the ground soon. I have a couple places in mind. I grew a ton of bachelor button and it's really easy to grow from seed. So I'm going to put that in a couple spots in different garden beds around my yard. And the Snapdragons, I'm happy to report, are doing really great. Those are cool season flowers. So those can withstand a light frost, which is what we've had around here. But right now, we are heading into a warm stretch. Now, we are going to see some spring storms in the mix as well. So I'll just go on a case-by-case basis, day to day. I'm going to be busy putting some stuff in the ground today. And, I'm just excited for warmer weather ahead. I think most of us are getting a little bit of spring fever right now. Spring break for the kiddos is coming up as well. So I'll have a little bit more time to get them involved. Just let me know what you're planting. Are you hitting up the nurseries and the garden centers yet? What are you seeing out there? I have, by the way, done some more winter sowing. So I'll be sure in the next video to update you on how my winter sow containers are doing. See you guys later. Bye.